Hello, I'm Helen Bradley. Welcome to this video tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to animate a still image in Photoshop. Before we get started with this video tutorial, let's look and see what it is that we're going to do. We're going to take an image like this and we're going to apply color changes to it and record this as a video. And we're going to do this all inside Photoshop. And so you'll be able to take any image and apply color changes to it and create an animation from it. So let's just close this down and let's go and get Photoshop. Now, I got the inspiration for this animation when I was creating a video showing you how to create these triangle images that you could then use as backgrounds in Photoshop. And when I was doing this, I had an adjustment layer here over the top of this image, a hue saturation adjustment layer, and I was just running through the possibilities. And as I saw these color changes, I thought that that would be a really interesting effect to animate. So we're going to do that now, but we're not going to do it using the hue saturation panel because for ease of use, we're actually going to do it using a style. So I'm going to get started with this, and this is the image, but you could use any image at all because you could apply color overlays to any image you like. It could be a photo or it could be an illustration. I've got the layers palette open here, and I do that by choosing window and then layers. And I'm going to add a layer style to this. So with the layer selected, I'm just going to click the FX button here, and I'm going to apply a color overlay layer style. Now the first one is going to be a nothing, so I'm going to come in here and just select white. And I'm going to set the blend mode to color dodge because that's what we're going to use, but I'm just going to wind this down to no value at all for this initial image because that's going to be our starting point. And now we're ready to start in with our animation. And in Photoshop CC, you do this by choosing window and then timeline. And this is the animation timeline. Now you can choose to create a frame animation or a timeline animation, and we're going to choose video timeline. And that automatically adds this layer as a layer into our timeline. Now I'm going to zoom this a little bit because I want to see exactly how long this is going to take. So this is 10 frames, and if we're running at around 12 frames a second, this means it's about a second worth of video. So I'm going to open this up here and go to the style because we're working with style. I'm going to click the stopwatch because that means Photoshop's going to track what I'm doing, and you can see that it's added a keyframe in here. So I'm going to move this forward to about half a second, and I'm going to make a change at this point. So I'm going to go into my color overlay style, and I'm going to choose a different color. So I'm just going to work pretty much down these colors. So I'm going to go and start probably with about the blue that I've got in the image itself because I don't want a huge change to start off with. So I'm going to make this the blue, and I'm going to wind up the opacity a bit. So this is going to be our first color change. And you can see that having done that, Photoshop has added a keyframe. Now, the reason why I'm not adding more keyframes is I want this to be a continual transition. I don't want it to sort of show up at the original look and then all of a sudden change. I want it to be changing continually over time. So I'm just going to add keyframes at every half second. And I'll do that by just double clicking on the color dodge. Click on the color swatch and keep going with a change of color. So this time I'm going to go for this sort of bluey green, and then click OK. And I'm going to wind forward another half second and do that again. And I'm just working down this color picker, this hue color picker here, and just choosing nice colors as I go. Now this is going to take a few minutes to do, so I'm going to pause the video and come back when I've finished doing all of these colors. Now I've gone ahead and created all these color changes, and what I did was I just worked through the colors all the way down up to the top here and back to pretty much where I started. So this is my color transition. And if we have a look at our timeline, we can just scrub through it. So I can just move across the image and you can see the color changes that are taking place. Now, of course, we've got a timeline here that is much longer than the color changes that we've added in. So I'm just going to drag this into here to shorten the timeline. And basically that's all I need to do to create this animated effect, and we're ready now to encode it. So I'm going to click here to encode my video. I'm going to select a file name for it, so I'm going to call this color change. And now I can set my options. Now I'm going to use the QuickTime format, and I'm just going to make it a medium quality one. And this is all the settings I need to make, apart from selecting a folder where I want it to be located, and I'm just going to click to render it. And it will just take a few seconds to render out, and we'll be ready then to go ahead and play it. Now it's completed rendering now, and I'm just going to open it in the QuickTime player. And here it is in the QuickTime player. It's been rendered out as a movie file, and we can just click to play it. Now this is a fairly quick animation, but you can see the power of being able to create these color change animations from inside Photoshop. And as I said, we could be putting this as a color overlay over an image, for example, and having it rotate through those. Just be aware of the size of your animation, and if you estimate it something like 12 frames per second, you'll be able to determine exactly how many frames you need for the animation effect. And as I said, my animation is like a continuous change. If I wanted it to be a step change, so if I wanted it to look like the original and then only change at a fixed point of time, I would have added a keyframe in here and then moved forward a little bit before I made my change. So the change would be, it would be stable here, quick change, stable, quick change, stable, quick change, and so on. So it all has to do with where you place your keyframes. But the way I've created it, we've got this sort of smooth transition of colors throughout the image. I'm Helen Bradley. Thank you for joining me for this video tutorial. Look out for more of my video tutorials here on my YouTube channel, and consider subscribing to my channel and you'll be alerted when new videos are released. And visit my website at projectwoman.com, where you'll find more tips, tricks and tutorials on a range of applications including Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator and a whole lot more.